My God. Happy Monday, all. John Duffin here, Duffin Media. Welcome back to another episode of Optimize Your Communications by Leveraging Your Voice. I want to do a better title. I've been calling it Duffin'S Killa Conversations. 3 top tips that help you to be able to optimize your communications, again, by leveraging your voice. And what does that do? It gets you to improve your results. Close that deal. Get that job. 3 proven tactics that I've either utilized or I've observed that work. The best part of today and every day we come live is this. We make it easy, short, easy, manageable tips that will enable you to today, for instance, your next phone call, your next social media post, your next YouTube session. We make it easy. You can practice and utilize these tips today. And as I said, we're talking about tweaking. Everybody can play this game. So first off, if you are on Facebook Live with me, yay, welcome. If you are on LinkedIn Live, welcome. Come on in. We're happy to have you. We invite company. I'm thinking of the Sebastian Maniscalco companies here. Google that if you ever want a great laugh in regards to company. Sebastian Maniscalco, companies here. Google it. It's great. What we do, we welcome you here. We're happy to leave the door open because I believe in my heart there's a real need to be able to get people at a place, get me at a better place where we are speaking to win. What does that mean? That in a brief amount of time, you get to get someone's attention, hold someone's attention, and keep them till the end. Whether it's a presentation, whether it's a business meeting, whether it's your social media or your next video podcast. Folks, I'm going to ask you a general question. By the way, if you're watching us on YouTube Live, we love it. Smash the notifications, smash the likes and shares. Let people know that you love us, and we get to keep driving content through your front door. So I'm going to ask, because it's Monday, as a reminder, a general business question. And then for me, the fact of the matter is, Sandra Lee, public speaker, author, and overall rock star. Love you, Sandra Lee. Thank you for showing up for me. Here's the general question where we start. Have you ever had a presentation, a conversation, an encounter in business, or an important life conversation where you felt good about how things were going in your mind, but you were getting surprisingly negative feedback, or even worse, no feedback, and you just couldn't understand why? The whole purpose, the whole point, where we go is just a simple sense that it really could be your voice. You could be so damn close. I love you too, Sandra. You could be so damn close with what you're preparing, your natural sense of engagement. What we want to be able to do is get you across the finish line. So what are we going to do? Here's my thought. I'm calling today, variety is the spice of life, right? You see our beautiful smorgasbord. I never say that word right, by the way. And then I embarrass myself by trying to repeat it. Let's go with the easy ones. A ton of food on a table. I could do that, right? All different and great. Here's what I'm saying. Number 1 tip today. They need to hear that in your voice. They need to hear that natural sense of inflection, compassion, engagement. Here's the thing, though. They need to hear it at the right time, so that you don't sound like you're giving a performance. Okay, I'm going to give you a couple of examples today of ways that you're able to incorporate this. And then we'll talk about literally make certain that you catch them early. I'm going to just a show of hands, or even better, because I don't see your hands, drop a note in the comments. I will see that, right? Anyone who is speaking, who lately has been upping their social media content. So whether it is recorded videos or coming on live like we're doing right now, I'm working with StreamYard, the platform. I'm not an ambassador, nor did I invent it, but we're using that. How many people lately have been upping the live or video content so people see and hear you? Anyone? I've been doing it now for at least a couple of years, and I think if I did the math correctly, probably closer to 3 years. I've changed and pivoted based upon a number of things. And here's again this reminder, point blank, the need to hear natural enthusiasm in your voice. Let me give you a situation where I've changed, and I'm grateful to have changed. I wish I had known this sooner. Here is example number one. So I came out of broadcast advertising sales, 25 plus years. I'm grateful to say I did pretty well. Whether I sold directly or helped my teams to deliver advertising revenue from a television, a digital landscape, an event landscape, I'm grateful. I worked with some amazing people and did well. And I've presented a lot for big money, for renewals, for getting new business, did all of those things. Here's what I'm going to say. Here is an example. So I tend to have, me personally, a loud speaking voice, loud by volume, loud by being demonstrative. It's a natural thing for me. So I remember giving feedback to someone, and I could literally see them bracing. Let's get rid of that, and you just see a little bit more of me. I could see them in the audience looking like that. I'm saying point blank, sometimes that's not great. You talk about cliches like read the room, read the room. If you're in a situation where people are, right? I've shared examples in the past of using people as plants in the background to check my volume, check my pacing and tone. Well, sometimes my own tone of voice can be a lot. Hey, Diana, welcome. Thank you for this. Welcome from Kansas City, Missouri. Love it. I'm an Eagles fan. But I'm going to literally say with glee, go Chiefs. You got one half of the famous Kelsey brothers. We got the other half in Philly. Thrilled that you're here. Thank you. The fact of the matter is, like I said, it's big to me to remember your tone of voice, which is natural, is great. Just be aware that not everybody naturally follows your vibe. Okay? Just know that. I'm not asking anybody to change their voice or change their personality. I just want you to be aware that you don't get 100% agreement just because you sound like you, right? The whole purpose and point of what we do at Duffin Coaching, Duffin Media, is help you optimize communications. I know I've said that, but here's what I'm saying, which is finding and using your best, most true, authentic voice. That's what we're all about here. Brother, one of my favorite people from the greatness camp, Craig Mills. Thank you for showing up for me, man. I always appreciate you and your kind words. So the variety part, understand you've got to be aware as where you're putting in the variance. If you are a soft-spoken person, any soft speakers here? I keep showing hands. Drop it in the note in the comments. Do you have a naturally soft voice? Well, if you do, good. Here's some great traits about soft-spoken people in terms of what you're hearing. I hear warm. I hear comfortable. I hear compassion. What do you hear when you hear someone speaking softly or not screaming at you? I also hear inclusion. I hear a sense I get drawn in to someone, right? It's nice. It's great. My problem with having an announcery voice, remember that person I'm saying they were grimacing? Here's what you learn. It sounds sometimes, if I don't watch myself, like I'm telling somebody what to do. Hey, I need you to, well, I would never do that in real life. I never would. But the fact is, they don't know. They don't know. So if I'm standing up there getting all excited about my company and my stat and this is great, and blah, blah, you don't want to sound like a sports announcer straight away through. And I also don't want you to remove the natural dynamic of who you are, what you do, and how you sound. I want to utilize that more, okay? So for loudspeakers, like me, People like that. It gets people's attention. People like that. They just don't want a constant amount. I'm going to throw a term to you, right, which you can use if you have a demonstrative voice, and then immediately thereafter, we're going to go to the soft-spoken crowd because they rock too. But for me, that natural variance, right, so that you don't just sound like you're either yelling or telling someone what to do or talking at people. The natural variance is a big deal. So how can you get that natural variance? Here's your tip. Tip number 2. Strong open, strong close, conversational middle. What do I mean? If you did nothing else today, and if you're doing a social media post, or if you're giving a presentation, if you're doing a podcast, if you are trying to drive attention, come on strong in the beginning. Hey, folks, welcome to Optimize Your Communications, right? I do come on strong. My own natural excitement can keep me there. So what do I do? The variance comes in the storytelling. Strong open, great. Conversational middle, as you're explaining where you're going, why you're going there, what I've brought along. I'm putting up the food example. Forgive me for laughing. Of the food example. Hey, I've decided to bring dessert, cookies, turkey, whatever. The fact of the matter is, I'm bringing something different. So when I then get engaged in regards to a conversation, it's incumbent upon me, and I share this with you, to be really keenly aware of what you're saying. Bring your personality in. You want to talk about stream of consciousness, be careful. I've fallen prey to it. You want to be able to talk about, I just speak from the heart. Great. But here's the thing. Be aware of the fact that when you do that, you run the risk of going monotone. So the conversational part is the explanatory part. Hey, even a sporting event, think of like the loud, demonstrative sports announcers. I do some sports announcing. I do some sports calling. Speaking of some sports announcers and sports calling, John McBride, public address announcer extraordinaire, voice talent, all over the place. And as he said, one of the best pieces of advice that he got was from a grade school teacher. And when you need to say something important, soften your voice. It will naturally cause people to listen because it conveys focus. Even just changing up the volume. This has proven to be great advice. See what I did there? John, I hope I did you justice. So for me, that requires focus. How do you get focused when you're speaking on a social media post? Today, technically, I'm thrilled that people have come along for the ride with me. Diana, thank you. I'm thrilled that people are here, but there are going to be times when you do social media content or a podcast, or if you're doing coaching, whatever the case may be, where you're not going to know who's here. And sometimes what happens is this, your tip of the day. I know a bunch of people that are doing lives, a bunch of people. And there's times when you're doing these social media lives that you have no idea if anybody's on. Even worse, you may know. You may know that no one's on but you. So then you get locked into get through it. So the tip, number 1, variety is the spice of life. Remember to use the different cadences. However, number 2, it's got to fit the story. I'm not talking necessarily about performances. I'm talking about the risk you take if your natural voice is not conveying the authenticity of the subject matter. Okay? Case in point. I've coached people in regards to my sales organizations where I'm thinking of someone right now and they have this glorious, almost sing-song voice. Once you get pulled in, you're in. She's amazing. Just as I said, you can almost feel her emotion. Here's the problem, and there's only a problem. Nobody has a problem, by the way, except this. This is the situational problem. It takes a minute for you to get there. Drop a note in the comments, show of hands, whatever the case may be. When you're doing social media, how long do you give somebody as you're scrolling? and you see somebody that, let's say somebody that you know or someone you respect, how long do you give them? Do you give them a minute or two to warm up? If you're me, you don't. Sorry. I apologize. I don't. My mind is racing and I need to get the attention. And even the people that I really care about, I'll just skip through. So it's really important to do, number one, again, that variety. Number two, that strong open. Bring me in, naturally engage yourself to the right pitch and tone of whatever you're telling. Give me a chance to ride with you, but get to me fast. And then, as we talk about, lock into that story. Okay. A lot of people doing social media posts. God bless you. This is great. I do. And I think it's awesome. You might have a couple of bullet points and you might be, you know what, I'm good. And people don't say wing it. Hey, I'm just going to speak from the heart. Well, that could be code for wing it. Not great, because you're relying on, I don't know, chance to make sure that your voice goes. I'm going to give you a strong example as to how you can take that out of the equation. So, one of my favorite voice coaches, her name is Killa McGee. Brilliant. I have had the privilege of working with Kelly for voiceover work. She's a coach. She's a voice talent. She's amazing, compassionate, an incredible set of ears and voice. So how does that help me? I didn't get coached naturally in regards to how I say things in presentations. Folks, I'm curious. Whatever the business you happen to be in, real estate, advertising, sales, digital sales, whether it's direct voice work, whatever it is, what sort of coaching have you had in terms of the way that you speak? Anyone? Other than John McBride, who had a grade school teacher that was smart enough to bring that to life. Great answer. I didn't. Me personally, I didn't. So I used my natural voice, and I'll bet you I blew a ton of opportunities. Didn't even know it. And part of it was because I would get all wrapped up in the situation. I'd either be standing in front of a client or a group of clients and get all keyed up and want to roll or get all excited or lose my place in the story. And when you lose your place, I'm telling you, people hear that. So 2 tips. Number 1, here's what not to do. Memorize all the bullet points. Memorize all the words. Please don't. You might be thinking, well, wait a minute. He's saying really know the story. I am. And it's not raw memorization unless you are reading a client's specific copy. If I'm speaking to anybody in voiceover land and narration, of course know the copy. However, I'm saying know the story, ice cold, meaning maybe it's each PowerPoint slide is telling a different set. Put it this way, each page of a presentation is a different story. Killa McGee that I'm talking about talks about anthemic as a read. What is anthemic? You are building to a conclusion. If we're talking business and we're talking building a team, leading a client, leading yourself, you want to get to the point, I just did it, by the way, of building momentum upwards as you are reading, which means as you're going toward, I'm going to call it the home stretch of your presentation, there should be a natural build that's going on to bring people to this conclusion. Pro tip, something you may not know. People hear the rhythm of your voice. Always. Here's what's worse. They start to follow a rhythm. If it's all the same and it's an easy rhythm, blah 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 blah. People hear that, and guess what they're doing? They're drumming along with you. So they start to hear the cadence and they start to finish the sentences, and then they start to guess the upcoming next point. Here's the problem. They're really often wrong. which is why it's incumbent upon you with Kelly McGee, she said, is to know that story. What the hell are you trying to say? The big three that she has shared with me and I shared with you. Who are you speaking to? Literally, when you were telling this story, who are you talking to? Where are you when you are telling the story? If you have to imagine it, do it. Where are you? Are you standing in the front yard? Are you in a client's office? Are you speaking at a convention? Know that answer, right? Who are you talking to? Where are you talking to? And why would it matter to them? It enables, and this is each part of the story. Pro tip, don't get lazy. Memorize the beginning and memorize the end, and then just let the middle kind of all work itself out. It doesn't. It doesn't. And often those details in the middle are so important, not to torture somebody with a million bullet points. They just have to know why it matters to them. Give them some ability to get to you. How do you get to do it? The variance in your voice, the actual natural tone that fits the content, right? And then the sense of going a little bit more up and excited as you get towards the close, because this is where, again, I'll steal from Kelly. Are you able to land the plane, right? So how does that work? I just did it actually. So how does it work? I need to get your attention early, right? Number one, I got to hold your attention, which means the tone of my voice. Soft speakers I brought up. This is for you. Love soft speakers. I do feel engaged. I think it's awesome. I just want you to be aware of a couple things. Soft spoken at the beginning is tough. I need your help to draw me into the content. I'm speaking for me. Everybody's different. But for me, if you're starting a conversation like, hi, everybody, I'm here, and I'm really excited to talk to you about, I'm probably going to check out. Now, do you need to scream and holler? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You do you. You be you. And so with that being said, it's your most engaging, maybe upbeat version of your own voice. Here's a takeaway. Think about this. Think about the fact when you're speaking to somebody and you want to deliver them good news, somebody you know, take it to the most base level. You want to tell your family that we're going on vacation. I booked us a trip to go, but how do you sound? Imagine, how would you sound? Hey, everybody, guess what? I'm making Thanksgiving this year, and I'm bringing the whole family, and I'm really excited. Oh, and I invited blah, blah, blah. How do you sound? That's the version I want to hear. That's what I want to hear from you, is you at your most engaging. Don't try to imitate me, and I know you weren't planning on it. But don't. It's your best voice. So that variety is your variety. That cadence, again, strong opening. Imagine you're giving somebody good news. And then, if you're the soft speaker, then go into your conversational tone. Then go into that really cool part where when you're explaining something to me, I feel actually good about myself because of the softness of your voice. It makes me feel like, oh, they know what they're talking about. They're so good. In fact, they don't have to shove it down my throat. And as you are progressing along, especially toward the end, you want to build to a positive conclusion. And now, again, back to the soft speakers. Now you need to get back into your best natural. Don't blast their eardrums. You don't need to. Do not, for instance, as you're getting to the last couple of parts of your presentation. So figure, by the time you are at, and therefore, you should have already built some sustainable momentum upwards with your volume, with your energy, because when you get to therefore what I believe, or this is how I feel, or this is what I recommend, whatever the case, you're already there. So again, it's a build. Strong open, conversational middle, build to a strong end. And that strong ending should feel organic and true and right. And it does when you allow your audience, whether it's the client, you're in real estate, when you're sitting at the dining room table, right? Even when it's even in an intimate setting, allow your voice to be locked into that story and organically using variety and then getting yourself to a natural, strong conclusion. And then what happens is this: we all land the plane and we're all expecting it. Soft spoken people, keep your soft speaking voice. I love it. Loud talkers. That's my terrible variation of a technical term, like me. So if that's like you, remember, not everybody wants their eardrums punctured. They certainly don't want to sound like you are calling the last 2-minute drive of a Super Bowl on a continuous basis. Remember, if this whole smorgasbord, I'll get there someday, was 175 plates of turkey, well, if you don't like turkey, well, what are you going to do, right? Nothing that you want. So remember, your audience is that. Again, they need to hear the variety. They need to hear the variance in your voice. It has to be natural. It has to follow the story. Hook them early. Natural excitement. Then soft change your pace, change your tone, lock into that story naturally, and then build to the crescendo of a naturally speaking voice. Okay? So that's where, to me, what you could do today, how you could utilize this today for your next social live. Remember, variance, strong open close, conversational in the middle. Allow the build to happen naturally, right? And I'm going to take a question right now, by the way. So first off, Diana, thank you for the question. How can a person who's speaking with a stuttering issue? Now, here's what I'm going to say right off the bat. I don't stutter, and I'm not a doctor, and I don't know. Okay? I don't know the answer, so I don't want to give a made-up answer. We can handle this one of two ways. I can do a little bit of digging for you, and if you send me your email address to this guy right here, who happens to be me, jd@duffinmedia.com, I will do a little bit of digging, but I'm going to give you, and there's my email address, all right? But here's what I'm going to say. I have been told, I have watched that so often. I'm going to take a really much more casual part of the answer. Ums and uhs and that's not stuttering, all right? But I can handle this one, and then maybe it can transfer to your much more specific question, which I appreciate. What I'm thinking, right? That's focus. I'm telling you, it's focus. So for something casual like the ums and you've lost your place. Might sound harsh, but it's true. You've lost your place. You don't know where you are. You don't know who you're talking to. You don't know why it matters. Here's the good news. It's so fixable. Go back to the story. If you have to go back to an earlier part of the presentation to get your feet wet or do it. One last suggestion. If you catch yourself, the ums and uhs, and again, I don't feel professionally qualified to talk about stuttering specifically, although I have mad respect for people that speak, that stutter, mad respect. But what I'm going to say is this. The very human way to address it, which to me is becoming much more desirable, is rather than fake your way through it or act like it's not happening when you're speaking, acknowledge it. How do you acknowledge it? Take a breath, for instance, right? You're catching yourself, take a breath. It only has to be for a moment. You can literally walk backwards, and I'm doing that intentionally, physically, right? Oh, all right. So let me go back one fact, detail. Let me go back for a moment. I want to gather my thoughts properly and continue along with the story. If you heard someone say that in that sort of tone of, I get it, I understand, I want to go backwards a hair, and then we'll be glad to continue. If you heard that, how would you respond? Anyone, drop a note in the comment. How would you respond if somebody actually said that? And said it in a way that was compassionate and believable. because it is acknowledging what's going on, and in a way that demonstrates, hey, I get it. I'm here with you, and I'm going to continue. Oh, absolutely correct with grace. And that's most people, because they want you to do well. Okay? Getting flustered and trying to either power through or race along, you're going to get tripped up. You're going to get tripped up. So again, it's you want to sound. I repeat for today, and we're about to wrap because always intend to stay at about the 30-minute mark. All right. So I'm wrapping for this in this regard. People want you to do well. If they're tuning in or if they're scrolling through a social media live or a video, if they're there, they're not there to see you get tripped up. So this sort of variety and acknowledgement and locking into the story helps you because it makes you sound more engaging. And that's typically what people want. So that's my answer. Any other questions in any other way that I can help you? There's my email address, jd@duffinmedia.com. Okay. Hey, I'll make it even easier. See that QR code that I got popped on the screen? That gets you to my website. It gets you to my social media pages. You see how I do lives and videos. I'm going to end with this. Like you, I am also a work in progress. Like you, I pay to have people hear me, right? That's what it matters to me that much, that I pay to have objective ears listen to me. If you want to take this any further in regards to specificity, I'll go back to that QR code. Hit it. I offer a free 30-minute discovery call. So if you have an interest in making it more specific to you, I'll explain how I work, how my systems work, and how you would be able to leverage those to, in essence, find that true, best, authentic voice for your next big meeting, for your next big presentation. That's what I'm here to do. So, folks, I am thrilled that you made the time for me today. I'm absolutely over the moon to get to be able to do this. I feel like we came to a natural conclusion. I hope you think we landed the plane. And best of all, we keep coming back with more content. Best way, again, find me, jd@duffinmedia.com, or hit the QR code and you find me there too. I hope you have a fantastic rest of the day. Thanks so much for hanging out with me, and we will talk soon. John Duffin, Duffin Coaching, Duffin Media. Be well. I'll talk soon. Bye.